Hi, I'm Snez, personal trainer, healthy lifestyle coach, and your guide to feeling your best. This podcast is a segment from my weekly radio show, Wellbeing Wednesdays, broadcast live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. It's all about sharing real, practical tips to help you move more, eat better, and live healthier without the overwhelm. Let's dive in, shall we? Coming up next, I have had somebody fill in the lifestyle, the habits in the hot seat. That was a new segment that if you jump onto Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, I do have a form that you can fill in. And this is where I take a real listener's daily routine and give them some friendly advice and no judgment here, just giving them some advice. And today I had Franco, a 38-year-old male that filled in the form, which was great. Franco, thank you so much for doing that today. And I will start by saying, well, wasn't this a joy to read through this form? Franco, you are doing such amazing things. And I think there's so much goodness about what you are doing in your day-to-day. Some very minor tweaks, but let's go through it. So Franco shared that he generally sleeps quite well, goes to bed at 9:30 and is waking up 5:30 to get to training. He does 3 to 4 sessions of training per week. He does body pump twice a week, mat Pilates once a week, and runs once a week. He has 2 coffees per day and rarely drinks alcohol, drinks on average 2 to 2.5 litres daily. So he is doing some great things, and it's quite refreshing to hear a man of this age really nailing it. Really, Franco, you are doing great. But there are some recommendations. So in terms of the goals, he said he is trying to keep fit, especially around the belly, doesn't want to put too much weight on, feeling good. So I'm not sure if you were telling me that that's your goals, to reduce some of the belly weight and that you want to feel good, or you currently aren't putting on weight and feeling good. But I can almost guess that you are in good health with the food intake that I'm about to share with the listeners, because you really have some great principles in there and doing great. There are some minor tweaks that I will share with you, but I just wanted to say, well done. You are absolutely nailing it. So, and it's great to see, because not only, Franco, are you supporting your health and your wellness, you did mention you've got some young kids, but you're really setting up a great environment for them as well. So well done. But starting off the day, Franco shared that he is having 2 Wheat Bix with some water and soy milk, a teaspoon of peanut butter, half a banana and some berries, and pretty much that's the same thing every day. Does alternate with 2 pieces of sourdough rye toast with 1 egg with some olive oil and some slices of halloumi, or a tablespoon of hummus and some mushrooms. So that is a really great start. Can we have a better option than Wheat Bix? Yes, we probably could, but I think that's working for you. I think it's a good option. The only thing that I would say there is probably try and increase the protein if you can, whether you want to swirl through a serving or a tablespoon even of just some protein powder, just to up the ante of protein in that breakfast, especially because you are getting some good exercise in. It would also be nice to know how active you are in your day-to-day work as well, and whether we need to increase that if you are quite active throughout your day. The other thing that you mentioned was your eggs and on toast, which is great, but you might find that you want to increase and do 2 eggs. And I know I'm talking about increasing your food intake in the morning. If you are concerned about, you could get rid of one of the toast. But considering your age, that you're male and you're active, I think that that would be completely okay. And what you would find is you did mention some stress eating in the afternoon, or some sort of cravings and wanting to reach for something in the afternoon. You would probably find that if you increased your intake for breakfast, that would probably get rid of that sort of snacking later on in the day. Then You're having your coffee with a little bit of soy or full cream milk as a snack, which is great. I would probably add in a handful of nuts or something a little bit extra, so you make that as a set snack. And the only thing that I would say though is you're having lunch again at 12 p.m. I'm not sure if you can shift that to aim to eat every 3 to 4 hours with nothing in between. So if you sort of went 7 a.m. your breakfast, 10 o'clock your coffee with a handful of nuts, and then your lunch more at, say, 1 o'clock. I'm not sure if your day allows that, but that might work that little bit better, which would make that afternoon snack probably not as required because you'd be eating your lunch that little bit later. But with lunch, which is minestrone soup with lentils or any other beans, an occasional meat dish or some pasta bolognese or lasagna with beef mince or fish and chicken curry. So really good, I imagine these are all leftovers, really good options there. What I would say is, again, if you are just having the minestrone soup, I would probably pair that with an egg if you haven't had an egg for breakfast, again, just to increase the protein intake, or just a small can of lentils would work really well as well. If you are having your pasta bolognese, I would try and add a side salad to that just to decrease the amount of pasta that you are potentially having, but also to get your fibre and your nutrients in through the veg. That's what I would probably add in for there. Also, after lunch, you are having your coffee and a soy hot chocolate. I would be a bit more intentional about trying to skip that one and maybe hydrating with a tea and then having a snack. You did mention you're having some dark chocolate. Again, I would pair that with something, either with some fruit, or if you haven't had your nuts in the morning, or I'd include a handful of seeds alongside of that dark chocolate. Well done. You're reaching for the 70%, which is really great. If you want to refine this a little bit more, I'd probably even push towards the 80% because that cacao is actually very good for you. But pairing that with some seeds means that you are having something a little bit more substantial. And then that, if you were to add something a little bit more substantial into your day, you will probably find that you don't need that after dinner snacking. And then the last bit that I'm going to mention, dinners look great. The only thing that I did want to mention was for your training, men lose on average 3 to 8% muscle mass per decade after they turn 40. So as you're heading into that age, doing the strength training is absolutely fantastic. You are doing that pump twice a week. If you could go heavier, if you're in the class and you're not happy to do just strength training in the gym, if the classes are easier for you, I would look at potentially going slower in those classes, but heavier. So go into the pump class, don't do as many reps, but just pack it with a little bit more weight. So I'm not too sure what sort of rep range you are doing in those classes, but I would just try and go slower and heavier. And then with an increase in protein, more during the day and less snacking after dinner. I think they're the minor tweaks that I would recommend to you, Franco, but well done on quite a healthy and wholesome day. But hopefully those little tips will help you out and help you to achieve those goals. Thanks for joining me on this segment from Wellbeing Wednesdays, as heard live on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who might find it helpful and subscribe so you never miss a show. Want to catch the live broadcast? Well, you can tune in Wednesdays from 12 till 2 p.m. on 88.6 Plenty Valley FM, or find my info on Wellbeing Wednesdays with Snez, the Facebook group. Take care, stay healthy, and remember, it's the little choices every day that create big changes. Talk soon.